Hello everybody, welcome to Catherine Sews. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have big, exciting news. I am retiring. I've been a high school teacher for about 30 years, mostly in sewing, fashion, and textiles. And I worked for 10 years in the fashion industry before that. It's been an absolutely wonderful career and definitely hard work, but it is time to step out of the classroom and pass the torch. So I'm going to continue here on YouTube, but I'm looking forward to just being a little less busy. I honestly don't know how. I've worked full time and put out a video a week for the last 5 years. It has been kind of wild. So yes, it's time to exhale and reflect on what I've learned, not just as a teacher, but as a maker and just as a human. So today I'd like to share life lessons with you that I've picked up along the way. And these life lessons apply whether you're just starting out or you're midway through your career, or like me, you're stepping into retirement, especially if you want to live your life a little bit more creatively. My first lesson is that you can find your creativity. So many people have said to me,
I'm just not very creative.
And you know what? I just don't buy that. I think that being creative is part of being human. We just need to reconnect with that childhood sense of play. Whether you're sewing, painting, writing, doing pottery, experimenting in the kitchen, whatever it is that you like to do to be creative, just give yourself that permission to just play. Have fun and ask, what if? What if it was this way? Why does it have to be that way? Can't I do things in a different way? Try to sketch it out. Lay out the pieces in front of you. Try to visualize it. And don't think of creativity as this sort of nebulous quality that only a few gifted people have. To me, creativity and problem solving are almost the exact same thing. So if you can't think of yourself as a creative person, can you think of yourself maybe as a problem solver? Generating lots of possible and even some impossible solutions is a very creative act. And it's just part of what we do as humans. So yes, you can find your creativity. Number 2 is feel the fear and do it anyway. People also tell me that I'm very brave the way I cut into a garment and revamp it. But honestly, most of the time I am scared, right? But really, if you think about it, what is at risk? I'm taking a discarded, unloved garment, and the worst thing that's going to happen is that it will be a discarded and unloved garment. And sometimes after I make that first cut, you'll hear me say, well, there's no turning back now. So that's when you know I was scared.
Oh, this is not scary at all. Here we go. Okay. No turning back now.
But once that first cut is done, there's nowhere to go but forward. So courage isn't the lack of fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Creativity doesn't require you to be fearless. It just requires that you try. The third lesson I've learned is to say yes to opportunities. There's a lot of good wisdom out there that suggests that women should learn to say no, that we say yes too much, and we have to be unapologetic when we say no. And I do agree with that to a point. If you feel that somebody is taking advantage of your kindness and you're feeling resentful, then those are good red flags that it is time to say no to that. What I'm talking about is saying yes to things that challenge you or excite you or scare you a little bit. Things like new projects, invitations, collaborations, new exciting opportunities for you. One yes leads to the next one, and before you know it, you're meeting great people, building things that are meaningful, doing things you never thought were possible, and having unforgettable experiences. That has certainly been true for me. I said yes to some really scary things like public speaking, like doing a workshop, leading a tour, helping to plan a conference. Those were scary things. And I thought, gosh, can I really do that? And you know what? You step up, you break it down into small steps and you do it. And then you have that experience under your belt. And then the next opportunity that comes along doesn't feel quite as scary because you have that experience to take with you. I honestly don't think I would have a YouTube channel right now if I hadn't said yes to those experiences along the way that made me feel like, yeah, I can talk to a camera. I can share my expertise. I do feel confident in what I do because of scary things I've done in the past. Number 4 is the magic of 15 minutes a day. An older cousin that I have, who I always adored and looked up to, she told me that she learned to speak French in 15 minutes a day. She was working full time. She had kids. She had no time but she set aside 15 minutes a day for her French practice. And she's now fully fluent in French. I took that lesson to heart, this idea of 15 minutes a day. That's all it takes. So when my first child was born and I was at home on mat leave, and in Canada, we get a year. It's fantastic. So I was home for a year and I knew that I had to be creative in that time. So 15 minutes a day was my time, and I'd have the little playpen right beside my sewing machine. And for 15 minutes a day, I worked on a quilt. So I still have this beautiful quilt. It's now 23 years old because those 15 minutes a day add up and you can achieve amazing things in those small increments of time. I did most of my master's degree in small increments of time like that. And now I'm following in my cousin's footsteps and I'm brushing up on my French, trying to learn French, spending 15 minutes a day on Duolingo. And yes, if you have more time to give to something, then that is even better, of course, but don't let a lack of time stop you from achieving a goal that you want to achieve. Number 5 is to just trick yourself into starting. Sometimes in creative pursuits, it's just starting that's the hardest point. And if I had a student that was struggling and was overwhelmed in their project and just didn't have the motivation that day, I would just say to them, you know what, just thread your machine. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just thread your machine. And then I'd come back around and I'd say, you know what, just pin that one little seam. That's it. That's it for today. Just pin that one little seam. And then I'd come back in a few minutes and then say, well, you might as well sew it now, right? And if that's all you got done in a day, then you know what? At least you were further ahead than you were yesterday. So my students knew I was tricking them, but it still worked. That gentle persistence still worked because starting small breaks the resistance. And sometimes I would even tell them, just trick yourself. Just get yourself to do that smallest first step, and then another one, and then another one. And then you'll be that little bit ahead of where you were yesterday. So taking those tiny actions builds momentum, and before you know it, you'll be in that creative flow. So tricking yourself is a practical strategy to take down that intimidating first step of starting your creative project. The 6th life lesson is to give yourself grace. Not everything works out well the first time or the second or ever, but that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're learning. And you know what? You might have found one way that definitely does not work, and you can check that off your list. You're learning, you're discovering, and you're finding ways to improve. And you know what? I don't say never give up, but I do say don't give up too easily. There are definitely times when putting a project aside, taking a break, or just putting it aside for good is the appropriate action. But sometimes all it takes is that pause for reflection and try a different approach. Reflect, revise, and try again, maybe in a different way. Be open to advice from others. You might go to somebody who has more experience or just has a different way of doing something and ask for that input and then incorporate that into your self-reflection. That's how growth happens in sewing and in life. So remember to practice self-compassion, learn, reflect, be kind to yourself when things don't work out, and then try again. Number 7 is to lift others up, help others to shine, especially the young ones. One of the best parts of teaching or of just being human is lifting up somebody else. Support your friends and your colleagues. Highlight other people's contributions and their successes, and be generous with your knowledge and your experience. Lifting others up doesn't take anything away from you. In fact, it makes you shine brighter. One of the greatest joys of my career has been working with young people, laughing with them, giving them a little nudge forward when they needed it, and then witnessing those light bulb moments, and then celebrating their success. Those moments are what I will miss most about teaching. Those moments of growth and connection, those remind you of why you do the work. So in creativity and in life, lifting others is one of the most powerful and beneficial things that you can do. Number 8 is don't wish your life away. And I see this all the time with my students and with colleagues. People saying, oh, is it almost the weekend? Oh, our summer holiday's almost here. People just wishing for whatever experience they're having to be over, and so that they can get to the weekend or the summer. I think that that's not great. I think it's really important to enjoy every day of your life, not just the weekends and not just the summers, but every day. If you're young and you have 30 years ahead of you before you retire, you cannot spend that time hating your job and just living for the weekends. Life is way too short for that. And if, like me, you're just stepping into retirement now, you might have 30 years ahead of you. I hope I do. And I can't spend that time waiting for fun to happen. You have to make that fun happen. So I think retirement is going to be a fantastic time to maybe learn a new hobby, explore interests I've never had time to explore, and try things that could become my next passion. I definitely will always sew and will always share that with you for just as long as I can. But retirement is definitely a great time to try new things, learn new skills, pick up new hobbies, or fall in love with something entirely new. And then the last life lesson that I'll share with you today is to love the work that you do, or at least bring the love. So for some people, their job is just what they do. But for others, their job is who they are. And that has definitely been true for me. I am a teacher and I always will be. So if you're very lucky, you'll have a job that you're passionate about and it is part of your identity. And I'm so blessed that I've had that for the last 30 years. But even if your job isn't your passion, if you bring love and humor with you to work every day, if you light up the workroom with your warmth and your positive attitude, and you make those around you feel good and feel lifted up, if you find honor and pride in doing a good job, then you're going to be amazing at it and you'll have a brilliant career and you'll love your work. So whatever stage of life you're in, keep creating, keep growing, keep showing up for work, for yourself, and for others. So now that I'm officially retired, I know I'm going to miss working with young people. That daily energy, the laughs, their silliness, the fun that they bring into the room, those light bulb moments, and that beaming pride when they finish a garment. I'm going to really miss that. But I'm also so excited to continue creating and sharing with you here on YouTube. It's actually been amazing to meet and connect with people my own age through retreats and the fashion trips and in our community here on YouTube. And building this community is exactly what I want the next chapter of my life to be about. So I'm right where I want to be, and I'm so glad you're here with me. And until next time on Catherine Sews, you take care.